Good evening. When Thursday night tonight, not Wednesday night, we've had a little change. When Thursday, the 4th of Feb, episode 23 of So What's Been Happening. Boy, we're really pushing along. Famous number 23, obviously no greater than Michael Jordan. Massive fan as a kid, still is today. The number 23, synonymous now with LeBron James. Everyone still wants to be number 23. And there's plenty of other 23s. Andrew McLeod for Adelaide Crows was a super famous number 23. For the Melbourne Footy Club, I used to like James McDonald, number 23, who was a captain as well. And there's plenty of other 23s. So tonight I'm doing this show solo. Glenn, happy birthday to Cuz, Glenn Curran. We won't mention how old he is, but he's creeping up. So we look forward to having a beer together in the next week or so. And Lovey, who's normally on as well, he couldn't make it. He may be a late starter, so you never know. And Berkey, shout out to you, mate. I know you've always a busy man and got something on, but I really look forward to catching up with you this weekend. We're actually going to try and do the three-peat on 3 gigs, and we're going to start with a gig, which I might just touch on before our first guest for tonight comes up. So this particular one is Friday the 5th of Feb at the Post Office Hotel. It's an album launch for Luke Sinclair, and normally Luke's in a full band, but he's launching this new album, and I'd like to just play a little snippet of it, if you will be so kind, because I'm hitting the buttons, so I get to choose. And here it is, a little snippet from the new album for Luke Sinclair.
Paperboard out on the sea in the center of the telescope. I always had an eye on you. You know I always held out hope that you were gonna be alright. That you were gonna be just fine.
That's going to be a great gig on Friday night at the Post Office Hotel. Another one that's coming up is this Saturday night. Make sure you can try and get ready for this gig. These guys haven't performed together for a while. Davey Lane from UMI and Brett Wolverton, the Pitchers. It's been a long time since they've had their last gig. If I'm not mistaken, it's kind of around the plus 10 years. So it's great to have these boys back together. And Luli Bar, Johnson Street. It's a free gig. So from 8 p.m, make sure you come and check this out. Davey Lane and Brett Wolverton, absolute superstars. So come and check that out. The last one I want to touch on is a new band formed called Truck, and Venom, who's been in multiple bands. I just want to touch on this one as well. They're opening for another band called Empirical Prey. This is at Bendigo Hotel. Check this one out as well. Make sure you do. That's a 4:00 Sunday gig. So just a little snippet of their new film clip and new album. This song's called I Need a Miracle.
Control gave me something to hold on to when life was kicking me black and blue. When I said I need a miracle, don't give me spiritual, something to soothe the soul. Turn on the radio, oh, there's the voice I know singing me rock and roll.
Got that John Bon Jovi kind of feel in the lyrics. Great to see these boys. Venom definitely holding down the drums. That'll be fantastic to see. So Sunday afternoon, this will be a first gig of many for Truck. So there's just a couple of gigs, 3 gigs. That's what I'm doing Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're ever out and about, come and say g'day. I know a lot of my mates will be out and about checking out gigs. Sadly, it's a mask on event at the moment. We're back with masks on, masks off. We can never decide what it's going to be, but I think it's the right call to go that way a little bit for now. Better to be safe than sorry. The last thing we want is to go into another full shutdown. And speaking of shutdowns and life in shutdowns and lockdowns, I came across this young lady not long ago, actually, as an artist, and it was actually on a local community page that an incredible story was posted, and I was really gripped not only by the story, but then the fact that that progressed into a song and a recording, I think was incredible. So I won't say too much about it. I'll leave that for part of the conversation. But I'd like to bring up a artist by the name of Maggie, Rachel Lockhart. And I don't know too much about Maggie, so I'm really looking forward to having a chat. But all I know is she's an incredible established musician, and she's got so much to give. So I look forward to hearing a bit more about her. Let me bring her up. Maggie, how are you?
I'm well, Aaron. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for joining us on episode 23.
Thanks for having me.
How's your day been?
Pretty good, pretty productive.
That's always great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been very good.
Good.
Everything's going well, other than the news of a little change of proceedings, obviously, for a little while in relation to masks and lockdown. And, well, when I say lockdown, quarantines, I guess, for the tennis, and it's going to be interesting to see how all that pans out. But better to be safe than sorry, as we've all found out. Last thing we want is another 111 days of lockdown for Melbourne.
Absolutely, Aaron.
So Maggie, let's before we kick into kind of first song, let's kick into just a little bit about your story. And I suppose where I always like to start is right from the beginning, as far as from a musician's point of view. Where did kind of music your first memory of music and how it gripped you, and what in particular was that?
Well, I started my musical training when I was 3, and I started on Suzuki violin. And
wow, great.
My mother tells me the story of taking me to the Conservatorium of Music when I was a toddler, and to a youth orchestra as a spectator, not as a performer. And the conductor at the time asked the audience, the spectators, whether anyone would like to get up and conduct. So I got up. It's a really cute story. I really like that story about myself. I wish there was footage or a photo, but there's not. It's a story. But I grew up in a very musical family, artistic family, and had a lot of exposure to classical and Baroque and early music from early childhood. And I played cello and piano growing up as well. Wow.
There was a lot of exposure to different types of music and no doubt different instruments. So what's your first kind of instrument you started to learn and then become comfortable with?
Cello was probably the one, and I've recently just taken it up again, not in a professional capacity, but just in a sort of a hobby capacity.
Right. And how long had it been since you'd played cello then?
Many years. I did take it up as an adult, probably about 15 years ago. I hired a cello just to play it again, but I didn't have the strength to play it. And I've been doing a lot of musical training on the piano, and last year as well through the COVID period. And that's actually what I realised is that's given me the strength to play the cello, because I didn't actually realise it actually takes quite a lot of strength to play the cello.
So from the cello, what came next for you? What else did you morph into?
I think piano and cello were side by side, but piano was the main instrument that I always expressed more emotion on. And I used to take the panels, you can take the panels off the piano. So I used to take the panels off the piano in my childhood home on my childhood piano, and just play and improvise. I did have formal training as a child, but I was more interested in just improvisation and vibration and connection with the instrument.
Yeah, very good, very good. And then when did singing come along for you? Were you always a singer as a child?
Yes. I remember in 3rd grade being very upset and approaching my teacher, who was also a singer, that one of my friends had said that she was a better singer than me, and that was in 3rd grade. So perhaps a bit of insecurity and competitiveness competitiveness back then.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Well,
I'm not competitive anymore.
right. And musical roots from a family point of view. Do you come from? Did anyone else play music inside your family?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got concert pianists on my mother's side, and a French amio, and on also conductors, and there's a lot there. There's a lot of sort of ancestral connection with music for me, and as there are for most people actually.
Yeah.
I don't see myself as special in that way, but I'm certainly intrigued by the connection I have with my ancestors, and also Isaac Nathan, who was a composer that he moved to Australia and lived in Australia. He's one of my ancestors, like a great grandfather. And but the classical upbringing was amazing, and I'm so grateful for being in that environment. But then when I was an adolescent, I got into, AC/DC and Metallica and stuff. So it's sort
A
of
real different mix. Was that a bit of a bust
went
out?
down that path. Sorry.
Was that a bit of a bust out kind of period, as far as breaking something different from that classical kind of style?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love many genres of music. I definitely love heavy music as well. And growing up as Australia, growing up in Australia and Sydney, and saw the Angels in concert, loved the Angels, and those classic Aussie bands like Cold Chisel. So I had a lot of exposure to blues music as well as Stevie Ray Vaughan, David Bowie, Tears for Fears, just an eclectic. Used to be a huge Boy George fan when I was 12. So just an eclectic mix of music, and I'm very appreciative though for my family and my parents for raising me in that environment, because I think musical exposure at a young age is paramount to any type of genre, of course, but for me, of course, it was classical and Baroque music for the most part, and that's extremely good for your brain in a musical sense.
Yeah, I've always my parents are very much into Elvis, the Beatles, and then it also went into Santana and Bruce Springsteen, and a real kind of eclectic mix. And I find myself, there's not a genre I don't like. It's just got to whatever's in that mood at the time. Like I'm really excited to go and watch some of these candlelit gigs that are coming up. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but they're going to be in warehouses, and the entire warehouse is going to be covered in candles and lit up for the night, and they're going to be playing orchestral stuff, and it's just going to be, I really look forward to that.
I've seen that on Facebook.
There's a few different venues doing that, so that'll be really interesting in around kind of March and April, so keep an eye out for that. But
I will. Thank you.
So out of your teens and into early 20s, and then what happened next for you kind of musically?
Well, I moved from Sydney to Canberra, and then I started sort of more of my adult music journey when I lived in Canberra. I was there studying year 11 and 12 at college, and I met quite a few people there who were my friends, became my friends, and they were very musical people. There's musical people everywhere, but Canberra, I guess, was a small place and quite condensed. And there was a bit of an underground scene happening there, as well as lots of jams and all-night jams and friends and parties and stuff. And it was just a really great time in my life. And I was around people who I just gained a lot of experience just by being around them, like guitar players and singers. So that was a really great time for me in regards to musical development as an adult.
Yep. And then
I moved to Melbourne and studied music, and now I'm here in Melbourne. So, yeah.
Sure. And we're incredibly lucky in our, obviously biased being Melbourne born, but in that arts and cultural kind of background here, that we're so diverse.
Yeah, I love Melbourne, really love it. It's been my home for 25 years now, and I studied music here. I went on a television program years and years ago, Starstruck, on Channel 9, and that was sort of like an interesting experience. It was a challenging experience, but I'm glad I did that. And from that, we just sort of launched into more of a solo career for myself. And I've been studying music the whole time as well. So, and just writing songs, and my dad's a poet, so I guess I I draw inspiration from him in regards to the way he writes as well, and his imagery and his colour in his poems, and it's amazing. And he's actually just given me a poem just for recent times to write some music to, which I'll be performing next week in amongst my some other original music at the Peacock Inn next Wednesday in Northgate.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll just bring that gig up. It's a really interesting concept that the Peacock I've got now. A lot of people have, you know, open mic kind of sessions and things like that, but Wednesday's kind of a really good day to bring on, you know, different artists and not so much residencies, but, you know, and I find that I think they're going to have 3 artists that night, and I think it's a really good concept, a couple of hours at a time. This is the poster for it at the Peacock. They've done this for quite some time, actually, so it's great that it's continuing and expanding. Is that in the back kind of beer garden area, or is it inside?
It is, and I went there last night just to check out the environment, just look at the PA, and or just hear the PA rather, and it was just lovely, very relaxing, very nice, very good atmosphere, good food, good service.
It is. I look forward to it. Hopefully, it's a good night for you. I'll plan to try and come and have a look.
Awesome.
Great. So I'm not sure where we're going to start with you with what you're going to play first. Maybe give us, I might get you to play that first song that you're going to play and talk us through that.
Yeah. Would you like me to play it first and then talk about it afterwards?
We're happy to do that. No problem.
Okay. Well, I'll play this.
Nighty, have you been mistaken in your life now? Long for so long. The moment that I first laid eyes on you, I saw you were crashing through some barrier. You were on the run through empty streets, trying to be someone. Nighty, have you been locked in some gold cage, and the key is hidden in your mind? The moment that I first laid eyes on you, I knew you were breaking through to a better life. You were on the run through empty streets, trying to be someone. Someone who understands the fragile hope is in your hands. Freedom lives within your heart, my dear, when you're open. Bloodlines flow within your veins, my dear, when you're broken. Nighty, have you
Absolutely beautiful, Maggie.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it. I've been, you mentioned the poetic nature of your father, and some of that. I can definitely see it in some of this lyrics here you've got. But one that really gripped me, one line here that says, "Freedom lives within your heart, my dear, when you're open." And I think that's such a powerful line, just that in itself. Just just tell us a little bit. I'm really captivated by this story of how this song came about. So why don't you? The stage is yours to just give us a little intro into how this came about.
Yeah, I was walking back from the shops with some bags of shopping during the stage 4 lockdown in Melbourne. And when I entered my street, I walked down a little bit, and then this woman came running around the corner down towards me, barefoot, no mask. And she was in a very high level of distress. So I just put my shopping bags down and I just stayed with her and spoke to her. And I sat down on the ground in front of her because she was so distressed and so ungrounded that I just automatically needed to just sort of do something in order to help ground the situation. And the eye contact was really important. And I just tried to see, was anyone that I could call? Did she need me to call, like, the salvos, or, where was she at? She's just trying to get back to her house or home, which was on the other side of Melbourne. And I think she'd been staying with someone, and there was an issue within her relationship with the person she'd been staying with. So I asked her what her name was. And in those moments, of course, you want to ask someone what their name is just to help them remember who they are in those moments. And she told me her name was Nadia. And when she told me, I just looked at her and said, "That is just the most beautiful name." And she really heard what I said. She heard me, and there was a lot of eye contact, and I was very determined just to help her feel that she mattered at that point in time, even though she was obviously very distressed and didn't have her belongings and had no shoes. And she was very beautiful as well. Like, just even in her distress, she was very sort of almost like queenly. And I know there's a lot of talk at the moment globally about everyone's right to sovereignty. And that was one of those moments for me in regards to a young woman in distress, afraid. I think that's probably the word that comes to my mind. She was scared. And I was able to offer her some solace, I hope. And I just got the feeling or the sense or the eye connection with her when I said to her that her name was beautiful and that she heard me, and that I hope that message sunk into her. So for me, it was a very sort of humbling experience, I guess, because obviously the music just started to flow out, the song just started to come out on its own pretty much. I didn't get the sense that I needed to actually write about that situation, and that's, as an artist, that's how I work. It just comes out, whether I like it or not. So someone once said to me, and I think this is very true, songs are often bigger than us. And in this situation, I think the song was just there to harness the situation and what I'd experienced. And I'm very, it was very humbling experience, actually. So maybe if I run into her one day, I'd like to tell her about it, but that's not necessary, and that's okay too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm always intrigued when moments like that happen, and songwriting and the outlet that songs can come from, whether they are an outpouring of emotion or they are a story to tell or whatever. And in this case, they're kind of both. And I think just the incredible part of even what you mentioned about something as simple as eye contact, and also in that very vulnerable situation, not only eye contact, but you actually, the fact that you even asked her a name is really important, and the fact that resonated, and it might have been enough for her mentioning her name, and the fact that, and I don't even know, you wouldn't have done that deliberately, choosing to say that her name was beautiful. It generally struck you. And when that happens, can be sometimes enough for them to just feel comfortable all of a sudden and take them out of that uncomfortable situation.
Oh, well, and that's exactly what happened. She relaxed at that point. Her whole body language, everything just sort of dropped, and she was a lot more settled and calm at that point.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, so I'm actually getting goosebumps when you said that, because that's exactly, you've just hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what happened in that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm always interested, I flash back to those ambulance shows, and they always show and they quickly ask someone their name, and maybe that's the kind of reason. I've never actually asked someone like that. But you've actually got a real life experience of something that came almost spiritually, that you mentioned, you asked for a name, and that was kind of enough to change the whole situation. It was, it's really, you must have a special gift there somewhere.
Well, it's very precious to me that it was like a moment in time,
Yeah.
It's like being in a portal. Like, that's where the song was born from that moment. And I think that's pretty amazing.
Yep. Yeah. And the fact that kind of time we were kind of in that lockdown phase where it was an hour a day or maybe the 2 hour a day, but the fact you were even in that situation at that point in time, and I'm not sure how far away you were from your house or anything like that, but you probably never ever experience a moment like that again.
Absolutely. It's like a one-off, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think something's absolutely beautiful that's come of it, and that's this song. And just tell me a little bit. I just want to bring up the cover, or the album cover, and I think that's a beautiful cover. That's just tell us a little bit about the thought process on that.
Well, the lyric in the second verse, in the middle of the song is, Nadia, have you been locked in some gold cage, and the key is hidden in your mind? So a very lovely local mum did the design for that cover. I actually potentially should have forwarded you her logo, but I can do that at a later date if you like, because she's really incredible designer.
We're happy to. You can put a comment on the video at the end of it, if you like, a comment later, and definitely tag her.
It's actually. I thought of that prior, but I'll definitely do that. And she's amazing.
That's okay, no problem. No problem. I'm always captivated by art, and it's so great to see LPs and records back, because we genuinely get to see an album-size cover. Instead of a little thumbnail on an iTunes or something like that, or a Bandcamp in your situation. But it's great to see some beautiful detail. It's well put together. The colours are beautiful in that gold, sort of mock old gold feel, and the story behind the birdcage kind of concept I love. And that, so it can be somewhat trapped, but in this case, with the door being open, that freedom, and I think it's great. Really ties in well. So we wish you all the best with this song, and hope it can get to the masses, because I think it's quite a hypnotic kind of song as well, and it has that. For me, it has that Lisa Gerrard kind of feel. It's got that real wave of emotion. So as we know, she's an incredible artist, and if you can capture any of that, you've done it well. It's kind of gave me goosebumps a couple of times listening to it, and I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat about it. It was kind of weird that you're even in my suburb. So it's great to see. So
I'm glad I posted it, because that was just, I wasn't sure whether I should have posted that, but I'm just so glad I did. And just sharing it with people is just amazing. And the feedback's been brilliant. And, your feedback means a lot to me. And thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And I believe we've got a mutual friend, which is interesting, because we're connected on Facebook, and sometimes I have no mutual friends, and other times I have a heap in common. So to even have one is a beautiful thing, and it turns out he's an incredible talent in himself, Lyndon Wesley.
Yeah,
what's your connection to Lyndon?
Well, we got hooked up through APRA last year during the COVID lockdown to co-write a song together, and we did co-write a song together, and we spent quite a few sessions, Zoom sessions or FaceTime sessions. I think FaceTime it was, just writing a song together. And we haven't recorded it yet. And I've been in contact with him recently. So I look forward to putting that one together and getting that recorded.
Fantastic. Well, he's actually just shot me a message to say I'm home and I was meant to call her today, so he will get back to you.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So that's,
and he's it's such an honour to work with him, and he's just absolutely an amazing artist, and it was just brilliant collaborating and writing a song. it was heaps of fun as well.
That's always great to know that, you know, the fun parts is not only why you do it, but it gives it that extra energy. And two artists that had never met, I love that collaboration kind of process.
Totally.
And so with you, how do you normally compose your, you know, obviously being a talented musician as well, do you find that the words come with the you know, the composing of the song, or sometimes it is the words only that you're starting with? Like, just give me a little insight, and kind of each song's probably a little different of how they come together, but just tell us a little bit in relation to this one in particular with Nadia.
So it was the piano and the voice that came the first two, well, I think the first two verses, and the first two verses actually, and the idea came. So that part was the first two verses that just came all together in one hit, and I captured that on my voice memos on my phone, and I played it to a few people, and they're like, "Yeah, that's fantastic," and I'm like, "Yeah," and it was like the crashing through the barrier. Those words just came out because that's what it was like. She was crashing through a barrier. Yeah. There had to be a shift for her. You know, it was like a crisis point. So she was crashing through a barrier, and those words and that music just came out all together all at once. So that was the initial idea. As soon as my hands were on the keys, there it was. And then
Incredible.
Of course I developed it. It was a reasonably challenging song to write, and took me a couple of months to really hone in on what I wanted to say, and I did a lot of writing of lyrics, and just and then you get to the point where you've got all these pages of words, and then you start spreading them out, and then you take that one, you go, no, that one's not right, I'll scrunch that one up, chuck it on the floor. That's my process. So and then it's sort of like a process of elimination, and just doing a little, bit of, well, not so much research, but just Nadia, the name means hope. So just tapping into that, I just thought that was a really amazing aspect of the song, of her name, meaning hope. And especially at that sort of, at that COVID lockdown time as well. So, but I think that's generally how I write. Is it basically whenever I put my hands on the keys, or even the guitar, but I'm more a pianist than I am guitar, something's always there. So not always all those things get developed into songs, but there's always something there. There's never a lack of music, and sometimes I've dreamt songs as well. So I just think it's a pretty amazing process, and overwhelming at times too, because there's just, the music's always there. You can't ignore it. I've tried to ignore it in the past, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, right. Well, I suppose they say, let it flow, and let it flow from the blood into your veins and out again. And at the end of the day, your voice is another instrument, right? And I'm sure as you play, the words kind of drift through and become, I suppose, a lot. See, like you said, the screwed up paper and thrown on the ground. But I think I can't wait to hear when you get to record a poem from your dad. I think that'll be incredibly special for you, I'm sure. Have you ever done anything like that before, where you've been given the lyric?
No, not by him, and he's wanted me to do that for a few years actually. But he's quite elderly, and he's very intent on me creating some music from one of his poems, and he's written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. He's been a poet all his life, pretty much, all his adult life. So I'll definitely be recording. I'm going to do some more recording with Adam Kalates down at Toyland Studio in Northcote, which is where I recorded Nadia. So I look forward to working with Adam again and recording some more tracks, and definitely my dad's poem, which is called Hawk, will be one of those tracks that I record down there at Toyland.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with it. I'm sure. Just what sort of timing was the recording sessions for Nadia? How long did it take you?
About a day. I tracked the piano parts at home. So I did all the tracking of the piano beds at home, and then everything else was layered and the vocals done at the studio. And he's amazing. And I just was in the hands of someone who could just harness the creativity in me, because he's so talented and creative himself. And he mixed and mastered it there. So it was just brilliant. So it was a pretty quick process, but as soon as I laid those vocals, those vocal lines are pretty much the first vocal lines I laid down. There weren't many takes.
Wow, yeah, that just shows how incredibly talented you are. But when you also work with someone that kind of, you know what I mean, just captures it and gets it, and it's not probably didn't have to work it hard like you have to do with some recordings, and it kind of never feels right. Yeah. Whereas obviously this song was kind of made to be, it feels and sounds so effortless, and I think that's a great part about it. Given we talk about hope, and it's just, I think so many things in this song have been a blessing in respect of an awkward and an uncomfortable situation. I mean, her name could have been anything, and to mean hope in a COVID period.
And you're giving me goosebumps again just talking about it.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, I really think this can help, or hope it does, really help kind of project you and really push the fact that, you know, you got so much more to give here. Please, you know, make an massive effort to try and get this recording done with your dad, and the lyrics from your dad. That was such a special thing for the family, no doubt.
Yes, definitely.
So I know we've taken up a bit of time. We said roughly kind of half an hour, which is always the way, but honestly, you're so good to talk to and talk about what's happening in your music journey. So once again, thanks for coming on. We might go to one more song and then just a quick finish and wrap up if you don't mind.
No worries. Thanks so much. So I'll sing a song that I recorded as a demo in March last year, just before the lockdown hit Melbourne. It's called I Am Your Daughter.
Wow. I'm captivated again. You did it to me again. And I haven't heard that song at all before, first listen. And so special to do that. So thank you, Maggie.
Thanks, Aaron.
Just tell us quickly a little bit about that song.
I think it's sort of like a universal song about being, I guess, well, a female on Earth, but also about the connection to my dad as well. And he's been a patron of mine for many years and supporting me in my piano studies. And he's always believed in me and always understood my musicality and my artistry in a very unspoken way. You know, some people, there's just like, sometimes there's just an understanding between people. It doesn't need to be spoken about. So I think it's partly about him, and it's also just about being a daughter of the earth and living on this earth. And I'm pretty big on protecting the earth and, you know, not filling the earth with plastic and, you know, being mindful in that way and, you know, just living as mindfully in that way as possible. So I'm pretty passionate about those types of things environmentally, I think, for the most part.
Beautiful. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Once again, thanks for coming on. And just a quick push for where they can find that song or the Nadia song first and foremost on your Bandcamp. I'll just put a link there.
Cool. Yeah, it's actually, I've got a SoundCloud account that's got quite a lot of songs on it and demo songs. Some of them aren't great quality audio, but I'm going to be recording quite a few of those songs in a professional capacity down at Toyland with Adam. So I look forward to doing that. But my SoundCloud account's up and running, and that track is on there. It's a demo track, but it's a good representation of the song nonetheless. Okay,
and then one thing everyone should look for is that link below for Maggie's Bandcamp with $4, absolute steal, to try and get that song Nadia and pass it on. And please do me a favor and do exactly what is on Bandcamp and send it as a gift to someone. Surprise someone with it, send it to them, and I guarantee you your feedback is going to be great. So once again, Maggie, I think it's out of such a confrontational, emotional situation, such a beautiful things come out of it. And I really hope one day we can find and locate Nadia, possibly through the magical airways somewhere, and she could actually hear what happened in this situation. We can reunite you guys.
That would be absolutely amazing. That would be so incredible.
You never know how it can happen sometimes. So let's put it out there.
Cool.
So once again, just promoting your Wednesday night gig. Next Wednesday night, starting at 6 o'clock. We've got Shana, 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock is Brody, and 8 o'clock yourself. I'm led to believe, if all that runs smoothly with time frames. So get onto the Peacock in Northcote, and bookings, I think, is going to be what's going to be required to get on board and reserve your space, because it's going to be limited capacity, no doubt, even though we're outdoor. So hopefully we can get a few people there. Yeah, actually, I asked them last night, and I'll promote this on my page, but I said, are bookings necessary? And they said no. But who knows what can happen with the changes in Melbourne? We just don't know. But they said you can just walk in and that's fine. So, but it's there's a larger group. Yeah. That's great. Great to hear. Yeah. And if you're not sure, go there and have a meal. So get there early, have a meal. The food's great. The beer's cold, and have a couple of hours worth of great music from 3 lovely women. So once again, Maggie, I really appreciate your time. So good to connect. Look forward to following your journey. And you never know, we might catch up for a latte in Montmorency. That'd be great. I definitely look forward to that, and we're definitely going to do that. Thanks so much, Aaron. It's been amazing to be on your show. Thank you so much for inviting me. Anytime. Look forward to spreading this around for people to hear. So I will catch up soon, no doubt. Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks, Maggie. Thanks so much, Aaron. See ya. Wow, what an incredible musician and talent Maggie is. I'm so blessed to have come across her, and I hope so many more people get to experience beautiful sounds of Maggie Rachel Lockhart. So look forward to that. So next week, we've got an exciting show coming up. I'm not going to say who it is. I'm going to leave it for a while to announce that. So more than likely, it's going to be a Thursday again next week. We're just not sure with timings of everyone. So without bring up anything else, get out, support your local artists and venues. Please get out and about. It's obvious we're trying to somewhat kind of get back to normal. As we know, music's one of those last ones that kind of gets kick-started again. So it's really important to be out and about. And I've noticed just in the last couple of weeks being out and about, listening to music kind of changes your whole mindset. So do yourself a favor, they say, Molly would say, get out there and go and listen to an artist that you haven't caught up before or seen before, and you might be pleasantly surprised. So once again, thanks everyone for coming on. Thanks for who watches this later, and look forward to catching up next week on So What's Been Happening. It'll be episode 24 next week. Enjoy your night and good night.